Welcome to Cash Flow Hacks Podcast. I am your host, Chris, and hello. I am so excited today to introduce Max to our audience. Maximillion, I love that name. So glad you joined us today, but let me just let the audience know the reason why I wanted you to come on today is because, everybody's getting real excited these days about cryptocurrency, or they want to have some piece of it. They just don't know how to do it. They don't know how to even get involved with it. And ever since I started working with you, Max, and I love the way you work with your clients. And just recently you were in a competition, and it was a Bitcoin alpha competition, and you guys won the prize. You won $1 million. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I'm really excited that you guys actually won this contest, and I want you to tell our audience about it.
Sure. Yeah, happy to. First of all, thanks for having me. But yeah, we're super excited to announce that we won that competition. It was called the Bitcoin Alpha Competition, and it was a contest that was co-sponsored by Bitcoin Magazine and Samara Alpha Management, which is a fund of funds that's based in New York. But essentially the premise of the contest was trying to identify the next big quantitative manager in Bitcoin. And when I mean quantitative, I mean entirely data-driven approach to managing Bitcoin. So they decided to create this competition where it naturally brought companies from around the world who all were trading Bitcoin like Animus to participate in the Bitcoin Alpha contest. Months later, we end up winning that contest and ultimately getting $1 million in seed funds for our company, which has been great. But the premise of the contest, again, was looking at past returns and saying, okay, who has been able to sustainably create returns and value trading Bitcoin? So, just last month, early October, I actually flew out to Amsterdam where we were announced the finalists, and then we're announced winners at the conference where we actually got to talk a little bit about our strategy on stage, which was pretty cool.
That is super exciting. And like I said, I've had a lot of my clients that have asked me about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. How do we get into this? Because we know that the world is actually moving in that direction. Can you tell us a little bit about what Animus Technologies is?
Yeah, so Animus Technologies is an AI platform designed for developing data-driven investment strategies for crypto. Over the past 6 years, my team has created a set of tools for essentially researching and deploying fully automated investment strategies. We currently offer our technology through a collection of these investment strategies that provide managed exposure to assets and themes in the crypto ecosystem. So essentially, we learned a long time ago that crypto really is not a one-size-fits-all approach. People have differing objectives in the space, and there's tons of different coins and risk profiles that you can target. So ultimately, what we did is we built a proprietary technology platform that allows us to build different types of investment strategies to really fit the needs of all these different types of investors. Today, we offer that in the form of managed accounts.
Wow. Can you share with us what the most challenging parts that you've had to overcome?
Yeah, it's a great question. So yeah, we've been working on this for over 6 years now, which is crazy to say. But I would say, the most difficult part by far was ironing out our assumptions in the beginning. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of tools that are available on the internet that essentially allow you to backtest. And what I mean by that is like testing using fake money, right? It's like simulations. And every quantitative trader, has this process where they go through building and running simulations, and everyone has this aha moment where they feel like, oh my God, I'm rich, or I've solved it. I've figured out what strategy works. But the reality is there's so much that doesn't hold up from a simulation to actuality. You'd be blown away. So the first couple of years of Animus was, to tell you the truth, it was rough because it was a lot of trial and error, where we actually had what we call the beta test. And we were actively trading funds live, trying to figure out what was working in actuality compared to our backtesting expectations. So the most important part of Animus, which ultimately was the most challenging, and the experience that we learned, was how do we get our assumptions in our environments and our testing environments to match up with actuality, right? And what that does, that actually creates a foundation for us to build value incrementally, right? Like we know that things that we're testing that add value are actually holding up in real life. So that's definitely been the biggest learning experience and the most challenging part of our 6 years was early on trying to figure out, again, what the difference was between all of the available backtesting frameworks and then how does that actually hold up in real life?
Right. Well, I know that there's a lot of people out there that say they know what they're doing when it comes to this. And I personally have ran into too many actually, because I've wanted to be in this space and I have clients that are always asking about it. But before I ever tell any of my clients about anybody, I always have to put my money into whatever strategy or whatever I'm using. And there's not been a lot of cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, any of it that I've been able to truly feel good about talking to my clients about. So, what is it that when you're creating your strategies, what types of information are you looking for or looking at?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'd say there's three main buckets of information that we're monitoring. The first is what I classify as fundamental data. And that consists of basically what's going on in the ecosystem. How many active wallets are there? What the difficulty of the mining is, the hash rates, basically all of the fundamental metrics that are pertaining to a certain asset like Bitcoin. The second is what we call like our technical analysis library. And these are more traditional momentum-based indicators, things like exchange flows, RSIs, kind of your traditional quantitative metrics that most traders use for momentum-driven strategies. And then the third, which is the most important, is the world of alternative data. And what that really consists of for Animus is sentiment analysis. We're looking constantly at news and social media, and we're trying to determine how people's feelings or psychology around a specific asset is changing. Something that you may appreciate and that a lot of people that resonate with a lot of people is that crypto is inherently a very speculative market. So us being able to identify shifts in feeling based on what's being pushed on the news or social media is really ultimately how we are creating alpha in this market.
The news. I know that the news actually, it affects the markets all day, every day. And that's why it's like a roller coaster. And so it's the same. But you guys are using AI and it's exciting, but it's kind of scary at the same time. But can you tell us how you're actually using AI in your strategies?
Yeah, happy to. So there's really two main points that we're using AI in our processes. The first is in natural language processing, which refers to the ability to extract signals from written language. And what I mean by that is there's a wave of AI that actually will go and dissect articles. So let's say the Wall Street Journal puts out an article today that says Tesla is now accepting Bitcoin, right? It'll actually identify emotion from that article. It'll associate the word Bitcoin with Tesla and it'll give it a positive score. And what that's doing is that's actually creating a positive feedback loop or score in our system that says, hey, maybe there's a lot of people that are likely to buy the asset because of this positive news. But essentially, natural language processing is the first step that AI is used in the Animus engine. It's identifying how do people feel about the subject, right? But that's the actual technique of taking all these different words from an article and assigning quantitative scores in the form of emotions to those articles. And then the second piece is that we actually use neural networks in determining our price forecasts. So Animus, what we do every day is we look at every given hour, we're saying, okay, what is the expected return for the next 24 hours? And that decision is made by a neural net. We're piping in tons of data, ingesting various bits of information, the three things that I talked about earlier. And then we're saying, okay, based on a neural network, what does the next 24-hour return look like? And then based on that return, we synthesize, okay, what is the best trade for all of our clients? But there's really 2 points of AI utilization in our strategies. The first is natural language processing. And the second is a Bayesian neural network that actually determines or helps forecast what the expected return of the asset's going to be on a daily basis.
Animus. Is Animus basically the AI? Is that how you would say that? I know that wasn't one of my questions. I told you I was going to ask, but I'm thinking about on here. It's like, is Animus? I'm thinking of like an AI like bot, and Animus of your bot. That's AI. Is that basically what it is?
Yeah, Animus is really the technology behind building the bots. So imagine Animus is rather a tool set that allows us to continue building these AI-based bots, right? So it's one step above the individual strategy or the bot. It's the bot building machine.
Okay. Well, I know there's a ton of different bots. So why Animus?
That goes to exactly what I was talking about, where we actually have a platform or a system for building strategies. The reason that we've been able to do so well over the past 6 years is because, again, we aren't just tied to one set of strategies or one formula. We've built a platform that's able to constantly evolve with the market and our experience in the market. So as opposed to creating one set of solutions or one formula that, let's say works on Bitcoin in any given year, we have a process for constantly researching the market, incorporating that research into new strategies, and then rolling those strategies out into production that ultimately increase our investor returns over time. So it isn't so much about creating one set of solutions. It's rather having the tool set and the processes in place to be able to continue building strategies that are working better and better. So to tell you the truth, why Animus is really a combination of our technology and our versatility and just our platform and ultimately our experience. I think there's inherently tons of value to being a participant in the market over the past 6 years and having been through several market cycles, testing and iterating on these concepts.
Does your company, do you only trade Bitcoin?
We don't. So we originally started with Bitcoin. That was kind of the inspiration for our project was, can we understand the Bitcoin market on a daily basis? The way that we built the platform is that it's completely versatile, meaning that we can actually look at any cryptocurrency. So we can apply this same kind of top-down data-driven approach to any coin in the crypto ecosystem. So part of that library of strategies that I mentioned actually goes much farther than Bitcoin. So if anyone in the crowd likes Ethereum, Solana, or any of these other coins, we have solutions for that as well.
Okay, that's interesting. What are the strategies that you're currently offering right now? Want to tell us about those?
Yeah, so I would say our best work is in Bitcoin and Ethereum, hands down. But we have several different strategies, even sub-strategies in those assets. I would say the two ways to think about the assets or the strategies rather at Animus are the first bucket, which are these long short strategies, which means they can bet long, they can bet short, they can go short on the asset. And those are specifically designed for balanced year-over-year returns with low drawdowns and high sharps. So really your emphasis there is consistency. The second flavor of strategies are long-only portfolio management strategies. And what I mean by that is those are for people who think, hey, I'm a long-term holder in Bitcoin, I'm a long-term holder in Ethereum, but there's clearly opportunity to sell into cash and manage some of that downside volatility when the market goes south and those assets drop 70, 80%. So that actually doesn't take a short position on the assets because it's inherently for someone that believes long-term in the asset. So it's a little bit more aggressive, but it also tracks the benchmark a little better. So there's kind of two flavors. One is the long shorts. It's for people who want diversified, balanced exposure. And two, it's for people who want a value add to like a buy and hold.
Okay. So now just so we speak in layman's terms for most people, what is a long and a short? What does that mean?
Going long is taking a position or a bet, expecting the asset to rise in price. So strategy number one is saying, I make money when the asset goes up and down. And number two is saying, I think the asset's going up. How do we do this a little better?
Hopefully that makes more sense to most people. I know that the financial world, the lingo for most people is, I know for me, it was very daunting when I first started learning just traditional finance, not crypto world. But I really think that it needs to be, even a small portion of somebody's portfolio, because I believe that the world is moving in this direction. And so, if we don't want to be the last one sitting on the sidelines. And I think that you are a great person for somebody to connect with because you know what's going on. And the thing I like about you is we speak the same language. As far as helping people, we really want to help people be in a better place. But there's so many people out there trying to take advantage of people. And I know that that's not where you're at. I know that's where your heart is not in that place. So if people want to get involved with you or connect with you, what is the process? Yeah,
thanks for all that, by the way. They can reach out to me directly through our website, Animus Technologies. You can contact me personally, 650-773-9471. I'm happy to have a chat with anyone. Or feel free to go through the link in the comments. I think you're going to drop one in the comments, right?
Yep. We'll put one in the comments and that'll go directly to your calendar so they can hop on a call with you.
Sweet. Yeah. One more thing that you touched on that I liked is that's exactly right. Like the crypto industry is very difficult to navigate by yourself, and it requires a lot of, quite frankly, making mistakes on your own to learn the intricacies of how to do it correctly. So my goal is really just to, again, to partner with folks and actually give them an opportunity to sustainably invest in kind of this new fun environment without necessarily making the same mistakes that most people have to get into the space, right? So it's really like supposed to be your partner, your all-in-one partner in crypto, is what I'm going for.
I love that. You know what, Max? I can't believe that I forgot to say this. Maximillion. Okay. I love that name. Every time I say it, Maximillion. Maximillion. Can you tell people how much money they can actually make in using some of your strategies by a year, by month? How does that actually, what does that look like for people to get involved?
Yeah, it's a great question. So most of our strategies have an annual growth rate of roughly 60 to 70%, which obviously is significantly higher than most assets out there. And it's actually similar to something like a VC, but they're actually, we're completely liquid, right? So you can take your money in and out at any time. My flagship strategy, the one that we actually won the Bitcoin Alpha competition with, the long only version of that strategy produced 260% over the last 3 years. And our more aggressive long short strategy over the last 4 years has done 1,600% roughly. So for every $100,000, that's made 1.7 million.
Yeah, and it sounds almost unreal, but I've seen this. I've seen it in my own accounts, and I believe in you, and I believe in what you're doing. So if you're listening and you are interested in having a little bit of crypto in your portfolio, you must reach out to Maximillion. Thank you so much, Max, for joining us today, and I hope we can have you back here soon.
Awesome. Yeah, happy to come back anytime. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.